And for a while, it seemed like the mice were totally disinterested. But then suddenly they appeared. So I don't know if they just got accustomed to it and you have to sort of change the frequency or something like that.
Have you tried, oil of peppermint on cotton balls and spread it around the basement?
Oh, absolutely.
You've tried.
I actually mop the first floor of our house every morning. Takes about half an hour, and I always put mint extract in the thing as well.
And they're kind of getting immune to it, is what you're saying, huh?
It seems like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark, you should just get a cat.
We'd love to. Unfortunately, Pablo, my stepson, he's allergic. So I suggested, that naked cat, but he said, "Oh, that would gross me out," So we're still, and there are some cats who are a little bit more hypoallergenic. So it's definitely on the plan. One cat and one dog.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, a couple years ago, we had a couple here, and I got a couple of glue traps and killed them. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't take the humane course out,
Well,
and it's kind of gross because they're still moving, in the trap when you throw it out, But
oh yeah, exactly, exactly.
Kind of freaky.
I know that, but they're quite effective.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dean. We're going to hear a poem.
I'm here too.
You're muted, but we're going to hear a poem from you on the open. I'm counting on a poem from you today.
Hello, John.
Hi, John.
Hello. I'm here.
Hello, John. Welcome, John. Oh, I'm so thrilled you're here. John, can you tell me how to pronounce Philip Taafe's name? Taaf?
Hold it up. I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm looking at the book you wrote on the artist Philip T.
Oh, Taaf. Philip Taaf. Yeah.
Taaf? Is that
Yep.
Taaf? Okay, good enough. I just wanted to. It's wonderful to have you here, and all
Oh, thanks.
the artists that you write books on. Taaf.
Thank you. Yeah.
Taaf. Okay, because I was working with Taffy and Tafe, so at least now we have Taaf. Good. He's a magnificent artist and very popular.
Oh, he's wonderful. Yes.
Very popular now. Very, very, very interesting combination of styles that he uses. It's fascinating. So that's great. So, hello. Look at all the wonderful people who are here. Hello, wonderful people who are here. Hello.
I think we can go, actually.
All right, let me go ahead and mute everybody and unmute Larissa and Mark. Oops, someone else is coming in. Unmuting Larissa. Unmuting Mark. And starting the YouTube recording. And okay, I believe we're ready to go.
We're ready to go. Welcome. Welcome everybody to Lit Balm. We are your anodyne in this time of the epidemic. We are your epicenter for literary relief. That's what our Lit Balm stands for. And we have a wonderful, wonderful show for you tonight. The founders are going to do a brief reading, and we have with us today Elaine Equi, Jerome Sala, and John Yau. We have a splendid show for you today. So sit back, enjoy. And now it's my pleasure to introduce my co-host, Jonathan. In 1998, Jonathan Penton founded unlikelystories.org. Since then, he has lent editorial and management assistance to a number of literary and artistic ventures such as Mad Hat and Big Bridge. He has organized literary performances and performed himself in places like Arkansas, California, Chihuahua, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Massachusetts, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oregon, Texas, and Washington State and DC. Thank you very much. His poetry books are Last Chap, Blood and Salsa and Painting Rust, Prosthetic Gods, Standards of Sedity, and the free e-chat backstories, which you can download from Argotist ebooks. All their ebooks are downloadable, and you can get a little free Jonathan. So Jonathan, I'm very pleased to turn the mic over to you.
Thank you, Larissa. I'm going to read a poem from Backstories, the Argotist ebook that you can download free. This is about 4 years old. How to recover from writer's block. Step 1, join a high-pressure writing organization that expects a significant level of output. Step 2, buy a Rider-Waite tarot deck. Shuffle it. While shuffling the cards, notice that it's no longer called the Rider-Waite tarot deck, but the Writer Tarot deck, registered trademark, known also as the Waite, registered trademark, tarot, and the Rider-Waite tarot, registered trademark. Remember an old book, Women of the Golden Dawn, which asserted that Waite, a man, gave vague sketch ideas for this most famous of modern tarot decks, but a woman artist realized all the ideas, and that the deck was properly considered a woman's creation, but a man got all the credit because it was a Golden Dawn and also Victorian and also English and also an everybody thing. Look more closely at the box while you shuffle the cards. The box says, the original and only authorized edition of the 78-card tarot deck designed by Pamela Coleman Smith, trademark, under the direction of, all caps, Arthur Edward Waite. Why is Pamela Coleman Smith trademarked? Is Writer the real name of Smith? Why would the deck be under her real name rather than her pseudonym? Step 3, draw a card. It's Wheel of Fortune, which is a fine card. You don't know what it means, but it's clearly got hell of symbols and it's covered in Hebrew letters, which you can read. Your ignorance is by design. This is a perfect writing prompt. Step 4, write about your dead cat instead. Consider the way you eulogized her on Facebook. Consider the creative writing professor who, rather than offering sympathy, told you that you could get a poem out of your eulogy. Consider the utilitarian aspects of dead cats and the furtherance of literary careers. Step 5, acquire a new cat. Acquire a kitten who is too young to be weaned, but whose mother has been cut in half by a car. Give her cow's milk, then wet food, then wet and dry food. Live with her in places like Texas and California and Georgia and New Mexico and Louisiana. Take care of her litters until giving in and having her spayed. Wait for her to develop memory cancer. Wait for her to lose interest in peeing on all your stuff. Wait for her shits to slowly shrink and harden. Wait for the cancer to spread to her lungs and for her breathing to become labored. Wash her tumor while you wait. Wash her tumor in sterilized water, then hydrogen peroxide, then neosporin, but not the kind with painkiller. This is because cats lick neosporin off their wounds, which is good, unless it has a painkiller, which is highly toxic to cats. Watch her lick the neosporin off her wounds until her breathing is such that she doesn't feel up to doing it anymore. Discuss her with the doctor. When the doctor offers steroid shots, take them once because she is still eating and still has her personality. Watch her appetite decline sharply in a week. Comfort her as she wakes up, short of breath and afraid in the middle of the night. Spend the night in the kitchen with her, whispering promises that you'll never ever leave her and she'll never be alone. Call the vet when they open, 11 a.m. because it's Sunday. Make your 1:30 appointment, then wait for the Sunday doctor because her last patient bit her and she's gone home to clean up with sterilized water, hydrogen peroxide, and neosporin. Soothe the cat's anger after she's injected with sedative. Hold the cat's head, rub her ear the way she likes, while she receives her lethal injection, whispering those same promises until the light leaves her eyes in an instant. When asked about cremation, accept the services but reject the ashes. Tell them to discard the ashes wherever because cats are people but corpses aren't, and you just saw your cat leave, you know she's not there. When you sign the bill, you are either clear-headed or impoverished enough to notice that you are not charged for the cremation. Step 6. Repeat step 5. Write one dead cat poem every 13 years. This journal avoidance of poetry will help you live a long time, enabling your heirs to release a single slim volume immediately upon your own death, from breast cancer maybe, or according to your own specific needs. If you lack heirs, employ a Twitter bot. Step 7. The cats must always, invariably, be female. You are writing poems about them, no? Let them be Smith poems, not Waite poems. Who the hell was Ryder? Thank you. I'd like to introduce my co-host, Marc Vincenz. Marc Vincenz is a Swiss Anglo poet born in Hong Kong. He has published 14 books of poetry, including more recently, Becoming the Sound of Bees, Leaning into the Infinite, The Syndicate of Water and Light, and Here Comes the Night Dust. Vincenz's novel set in ancient China, Three Tao's of Tao, is forthcoming from Spuyten-Duyvil Press. Vincenz is also a prolific translator and has translated from the German, Romanian, and French. He has published 10 books of translations, most recently Unexpected Development by award-winning Swiss poet and novelist Klaus Merz, which was a finalist for the 2016 Cliff Becker Book Prize in Translation. His poems have been published in many journals, including The Nation, Plowshares, the Los Angeles Reviews, World Literature Today, Raritan, and Plume. His work has received fellowships and grants from the Swiss Arts Council, the Literary Colloquium Berlin, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Witterbrenner Foundation for Poetry. Vincenz is editor and publisher at Mad Hat Press and publisher of New American Writing. Marc, will you be reading us a poem today?
I will. This one's called An Underpass. I wonder if on several occasions I was met by a sonder spirit who talked to me about you, invited me to dine in San Giorgio, take cognac against the wall of climbing vines, or, as I suspected, her letters of credentials were clandestine. Call me infallible, passepartout, call me imprinted, fading in a circle, dance reading proofs, improbable, an escutcheon proper with time. I am Swiss after all. And we don't understand why good luck is smooth and unintrusive. We barely believe a single exuberance, and yet we're obliged, obligé. A long-range goal, but a syncopated music. Only now summer knows who contracted the disease. Another rain begins soon, says Mr. X. Hopefully we'll be out by then, and the world, without knowing it, will be someone like us. Not one of the best, but better still. Observe the crows and their infinite pleasures. Absorb the past times. There's no magic. We're simply withdrawn in the dark, feeling our hands and hair, trusting that honor and its pivot and shade is of substance. Take no notice, the winged angel says. Nobody's ever seen it. Existence is possible deep in the breeze. Even the sound of the trees can be enlightening. Scrub the floor. Clear the wood of all intruders. Know every day we find ourselves coming up short. We're fucking starved. How many bipeds does it take to make a planet? This one's called Inorganic. Infernal, burst upon burst, the voices of blood hold up counting cash, even as the swallows bring in wisps of grass. 9 a.m., the pharmacist prepares his paperwork, while his man Friday dreams of deserted islands. In the garden, acorns thud against the wall, leaves spiral, land in the ditch. A fatherly voice mumbles in the sticky heat. From upon the bridge down to the canal below, the sun says grace. Here you will find the lots have been cast and the mice play dice. Be our merry guest, you say, your hair light as plumage against almost beckoning the way. You pour out the wine in that fatherly way, stare across the canal, remembering. Something pulls us toward the invisible. Just know the rules of the game. The unracking of boundaries remains unspoken, of course. Talk about hard work. That's bound to impress. and know that tomorrow never comes. The wine tastes light, just like your hair, cut with tap water, I'd hazard a guess. Let's wait until evening, you say. We don't know yet who's staying. And so I climb the cliffs, just as you said, and inch my way across the crux. Bitter blindness descends as I rise. A vapor of thought swirls about my head. At the peak, a stork leaps into the sky. Beyond the clouds' undeviated flight, everything seems so unfamiliar, lifeless. I see the years welling in its many faces, the print of the land over the arc of wind, the silent children marching homeward. And a last short one here. This one's called Inedible, and it's more of a prose poem. The ferryboat smells of something approximating sulfur and crude oil. We stand on the jetty. There's a gentle knocking as if the earth were trying to hold still. Frayed plastic bags float in the dockyards. I can read a few. Bonus, Max Best, Indran's Dollar Emporium, Cash Corner, Sanjior's Choicest Cheapest. The stones have faces here, each of them minor gods cemented in, observing the mess of foam, spill, vegetable stalks, and plastic. The skipper draws back his mouth in an uneven smile, a crate of small fish in his lumbering hands. A red snapper stares straight through us. On a day like this, everything keeps moving, everything piled under a watchful eye. At dusk, the garbage men pick up the remains, living or dead, wrapped in newsprint or cellophane, in a sheen of grease or a quiet dust of air. What an outlook. Strangely, there's no defiant struggle, not even a sound. You'd expect the swell of angry voices. You'd expect the ground shaking underneath, but the weight rolls effortlessly into larger plastic containers where they become the food of the future. There's no presidents to buy and buy things to throw in the mouth of empty space. Someone's always dreaming of fast profits from the mine shafts of the Transvaal to the sandstone quarries of Sichuan, each of them digging deeper into forgetfulness. Later, up in the mountains, the blue sea catches up with the night sky. Thank you. And next we have Larissa Shmailo, whose new novel is Slyback. Her first novel is Patient Women, out from Blazevox, and her poetry collections include Medusa's Country, hashtag Special Characters, In Paran, and the chapbook A Cure for Suicide, and the ebook Fib Sequence from Argotis eBooks. Her poetry albums are The No Net World and Exorcism, for which she won the New Century Best Spoken Word Album Award. Shmailo's work has appeared in the anthologies Measure for Measure, an anthology of poetic meters from Penguin, Words for the Wedding, Contemporary Russian Poetry, and Choice Words, Writers on Abortion. Shmailo is the original English language translator of the first futurist opera, Victory Over the Sun, by Alexei Kreshniev, performed at the Los Angeles County of Art, the Garage Museum of Moscow, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and theaters and universities worldwide. Larissa has also edited the anthology 21st Century Russian Poetry, which came out with Big Bridge Press, and has been a translator for the Eugene A. Nida Institute for Biblical Scholarship of the American Bible Society. Thank you, Larissa.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much. I'm going to read you a recipe. This is called How to Meet and Dance with Your Death, Como Encontrar y Bailar con Su Muerte, A Cure for Suicide. This was told to me by an old curandera, an India from Brazil whom I met in the Yucatan. She gave me this recipe and cautioned me that it could be done once and only once. To meet and dance with your death, take 2 gallons of pulque, fermented Mayan beverage, or, if unavailable, gin, 1 case tequila, several cases beer, 1 bottle mezcal, 2 ounces good marijuana, carton cigarettes, 3 large peyotes, coffee as needed. For 3 weeks, do not eat meat, starch, sweets, or cabbage of any kind. You may have citrus fruits, papaya, watery vegetables, yuca and bacalao, salted nuts, cream, and a little halva. Drink and smoke every day, reserving the mezcal and peyote. Smoke the marijuana in silence. Drink only when there is music playing and people are dancing. At other times, walk, preferably uphill. Bailar con fuerza cada dia, dance vigorously every day, either alone or in a group, but never in a couple. Be friendly with the other dancers, but dance with no one partner longer than a few moments, and do not stay in one spot as it causes blood clots. Dance until your hair and clothing are entirely wet and your chin tilts upward naturally. When you are not dancing, be silent or listen to music, but do not chatter and certainly do not converse. By all means, sing and chant, but do not ululate, because this brings forth unnecessary demons. When you have finished the pulque and most of the tequila, go to the city, find 2 men, 1 dark and 1 light. They will be your guides. It is good if you like them, but they must not be your lover. Your lover always blocks your view of death. Su amante oscura su vista de la muerte. Go together to an old room and take the peyotes, chop them well, and mix them with strawberries and yogurt. The sour will help you not to vomit as much. After you've taken the peyote, the light-haired man will appear to be asleep. Do not disturb him. He is calling your death. Take the hand of the dark man, ask him where he wants to go and go with him. He will lead you to your death. Follow the dark man until he brings you to a crowd of people. You will see familiar faces in the crowd, family and old friends, but each time you turn to greet them, it will be a stranger. This is where you will meet your death. Your death will be a man who looks like you, a little taller, but with the same color hair and possibly the same nose. He will be wearing a hat. He will appear preoccupied, perhaps agitated. He will be sweating. You will wonder where he has come from and whether he is sick. Do not ask, and do not ask him to dance. Wait. When he sees you, you will feel something just below your hair or in your nostrils, as if the room suddenly had become very cold or very quiet. You will hear a song, an unusual but very familiar song, and then both of you will leap to the floor at the exact same moment and begin to dance. You will dance for a long time and you will never dance better. Death will continue to sweat. As his face begins to shine, you will see beneath his skin and know you are not dancing with a man, but with death. After that, you will never fear him again, nor seek him. When the dancing is over, go somewhere and drink the bottle of mezcal. Leave the worm in the bottle for death. Do this correctly the first time, because it cannot be done more than once. To do this once is sagrado, sacred. To do this more than once is common, so no lo jode. If you do this more than once, you will do it often, and then you will become an old borracha who sleeps with common men. Punto. Thank you very much. It is now my great pleasure to announce our features for tonight. I'm going to be bringing Jerome Sala up first. Jerome Sala's book include Corporations Are People Too, The Cheapskates, and Look Slimmer Instantly. His work has appeared in the Brooklyn Rail, Conjunctions, Pleiades, Boundary 2, and many others. His blog on poetry and pop culture is Espresso Bongo. Get that on typepad.com. Please take it away, Jerome. Thank you.
Hi. Hi, it's great to be reading with everybody. Thanks for the invite. First poem is a semi-found poem. It's a poem I found and tweaked. It's called The Turn. At one moment, I was on stage with Love, my mother. But at another, she became Judy Garland, a lioness, fiercely protecting every inch of her ground. Next two poems are kind of talking with my phone. First one's called Thank You for Your Order. It was sexy, the phone said, the way you ordered that prescription. Filled in your credit card number just right. Clicked home delivery. I like a person, it said, who knows how to give an order and does it the way the powerful do. No shouting, no threats, just a couple of light taps in the right place and at the right time. You're good at that. You should try that again. We're here for you and your whispered touch. We've never seen anything like it before. This is called Scan This Image to Watch It. Within this little screen appears another screen. Within that screen, someone points at me, sticks their tongue out, like people do at parties, to signify they are wild and having a very good time. And then this person speaks to me in a language I don't understand. The blank mind of its algorithm, attributing to me an ability I do not possess. Its own lack of comprehension, speaking to mine. Two blank screens, blinking at each other, as if at this moment we inhabited a deserted drive-in where the audience has sped away in frustration, irritated that someone has turned off the projectors. This is called After Charles Beaumont. Charles Beaumont was a short story writer whose stories a lot of the Twilight Zone episodes were based on. This poem's based on one of his stories. After Charles Beaumont. When I was very young, I opened a coloring book in which a knight with a spear was killing a dragon. I tried in my imagination to reverse the situation, to make the dragon eat the knight, and he did. The weird thing is, a few days later, when I opened the coloring book again, the dragon was still eating the knight. That's how I learned about the power of the mind. You know that nothing about what you're saying is unusual. Yeah, but you should know by now, if you tell me it's all imaginary, it won't change a thing. I'm still terrified by the monsters that follow me around. The therapist eyed the street below, toy cars and toy people shopping civilization into existence. It did him no harm at all to know that if the shopping stopped, all would disappear, even himself and his frightened patient. He lit a cigarette thinking, it's good to be alive. If only his patient knew how easy it was to remove your head from the dragon's mouth. Go on, he said. This is called Men in Black, inspired by all the Men in Black movies and also by the legend of Men in Black, that when you see a UFO, these government agents who are dressed in black with a white shirt and a black tie appear, and they shine a light on you to wipe out your memory so you don't remember them or the UFO. And so there's all these conspiracy theories about them. Men in black. They dress like Mormon missionaries, but instead of young and nervous, they were often middle-aged and cool, like old school hipsters. And rather than try to convert you to a secret and marvelous, if improbable story, they'd insist to your face they were never there before shining a light that erased any thoughts you had about them. Yet they were the they who we all meant when we said they were hiding the truth from us. And their insistence on not being there made the possibility all the more believable, if only in the echo of our deja vu. And they knew this in their wisdom, the depths of which we cannot hope to fathom. So they decided to hide in the brightest light they could find, in front of as many eyes as possible. They told their tale on a movie screen to prove they were a joke. Mm-hmm. Who believes the people in blockbusters exist? Only the most rabid fans, precisely those who'd never guess that the cause of their obsession was their inability to forget quite enough. Okay, the last poem, I have a little prop here. It's inspired by this Godzilla, which we consider kind of a household god. And this poem is called The Sadness of the Household God, because this Godzilla is kind of sad and I had to write about it. The Sadness of the Household God. 6-inch rubber Godzilla on the glass table over the green silk rug wants to be more, to link up with the bigger than himself. You can tell the way Godzilla growls in silence. Pink mouth, white teeth, no flame, no sound. This is 6-inch rubber Godzilla, not CGI Godzilla, not man in rubber Godzilla suit Godzilla in post-atomic Toho pictures of 1956. But rubber Godzilla cannot be more. Rubber Godzilla is locked in rubber Godzilla world. You can feel rubber Godzilla beat with painted claws on the nothingness bubble that keeps Godzilla locked in rubber Godzilla world. This is a tiny claustrophobic world. 6-inch rubber Godzilla feels the lineage of giant Godzillas be Godzilla inside. Godzilla wants to be Godzilla. Saint Godzilla, prophet of all Godzilla forms, has told his disciples, when you learn to be content in rubber Godzilla or whatever Godzilla world, when you learn contempt, which means you say whatever, when you find yourself in rubber Godzilla or any Godzilla world, then you will learn the great joy of becoming nothing Godzilla. But Saint Godzilla was once movie star Godzilla before the Great Renunciation. So becoming nothing Godzilla is not so bad. To him, it is a relief. But not every Godzilla can say, better to have been movie star Godzilla and lost than never to have been any Godzilla before. Godzilla wants to be Godzilla. Thank you.
A poem for our identity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The great renunciation of Godzilla world. Thank you so much, Jerome. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a hand, please. Yay. Thank you. Yay. Next up, we have Elaine Equi. Elaine's latest book is The Intangibles from Coffee House Press. Her other books include Ripple Effect, New and Selected Poems, Click and Clone, and Sentences in Rain. Widely published and anthologized, her work has appeared in the American Poetry Review, Big Other, the Brooklyn Rail, The Nation, The New Yorker, Poetry, and in many editions of Best American Poetry. She teaches at New York University and in the MFA program in creative writing at the New School. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Elaine Equi. Yay!
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And I hope you're having a good holiday weekend. I hope it's off to a good start. I'm going to read new work today. This is called Seasonal. Finally, summer. Endless summer begins. Finally, endless begins. Endless, endlessly endless. Summer, 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 fanning out in all directions. Finally, ends. This is called Buying Time. Is time always transparent? The unwet water we live in like bacteria? It should come in different shades, be frosted and opaque. Perhaps if it were something we bought, like any other commodity, there'd be more choices. Many people, myself included, feel there's not enough of it. But I don't want it so I can do more. I want it so I can do less, but take longer to do it. A lot longer and a lot less. I want to find enlightenment during happy hour on a side street lit with neon rain. Take little sips with long naps in between. This is called Your Love Horoscope. I always start my day by reading my horoscope. Now they even have a special love horoscope. But the problem is when I get up in the morning, I usually don't have my contacts on and I don't see that well. So I misread all the information. So this is my love horoscope, your love horoscope, which was mine. You fill the life you share with others with love and affliction. Loved ones annoy any time they spend with you and appreciate you as a thoughtful and simulating lover. Your unnatural approach makes you an attractive and despicable partner to have, something you can use to your advantage, especially if you find you're singular. These are 2 dream poems. Blank bag. I dream of losing my purse again. Have gone out without my personhood. Am just a penniless ghost again, unable to buy a return ticket. The sales counter is the border of this country. Building a wall. Building a wall with dreamless bricks embedded in darkness. This construction has been going on for weeks. I wake up tired, not good tired, like the 12 princesses who wear out their shoes every night at the disco, more like the guy in the cask of Amontillado. Which one? The guy inside the wall or the one who put him there? Both. This next poem is a ritual poem. It's called My Mother and I Send Each Other Circles. It's kind of a game I play with my mom. My mom is 96 and I talk to her on the phone every day. And before we get off, we always send each other different colored circles of light, sort of like sending good wishes. Like on Facebook when they say sending light. My mother and I send each other circles of light. We telepathically juggle globes of color, enclose ourselves in the space capsule of their spheres. I say, where are you? She says, I'm on the couch looking at the plant. I'm on the couch looking at the TV. I'm on the couch sprawled out with my feet on the cocktail table. I'm in the kitchen looking across. I'm in the bedroom laying down. Where are you? I say, I'm in the chair looking at the door. I'm standing up looking at the bookcase. I'm in the bedroom laying down. I'm sitting on the bed looking at the wall. Then one of us says, what color would you like? You choose. I'll take all gold. I'll take pure white. How about white with gold sprinkles? I want green, all different shades. What if we try a rainbow for today? Okay, stay right there. I'm sending it now. I'm still sending it. It's sent. This is a prose poem. It's called Lit. When the teacher asked the girl if there was a nickname she'd like to be called, some voice in her spoke right up and said, Lit, which was strange because no one had ever called her Lit. In her whole life, she had never known a Lit except for Sarah Lit, the famous baker whose cheesecake her mother sometimes served to company. So when the teacher said, all right then, Lit, she had to train herself to respond and look as if she really were this Lit character. Lit, she was sure, was a guy who rode horses, a cowboy, loner type. There was something sullen, almost tragic about him, as if he knew he was not long for this world. The name never stuck, and by next year, she was telling everyone to call her Amber. This is called topography. We are congealed in them. Hats, phones, gestures buried deep in the billowing mountains. Once she was a small boy. Then he became an old woman stirring the pot. For a long time now, I haven't been I. Sometimes the only reason she gets out of bed is to decide which fragrance, which pronoun to wear. We all contain multitudes. There is work to be undone. This is a food poem. Larissa, I really loved your recipe poem. That was so great.
Thank you.
This is called Maple. Leave me alone with a jug of this syrup, and who knows what maple mayhem I'll get into. Once someone asked me for my favorite word. I wanted to say malice, but that sounded too mean, so I gave them maple. It did the trick. Totally threw them off the scent of my aggression. But I honestly do love maple with its high-pitched sweetness, so piercing, only a dog can hear it. The taste speaks to some darkness deep in my soul, where a sleepwalker stands bathed in the light of an open refrigerator, swigging the sticky amber like bourbon straight from the bottle. I am drinking the blood, she chants. I am drinking the blood of the forest. And two more poems. This is called A Parenthesis of Bells. A parenthesis of bells bleeding between morning and evening, bleeding a pastoral memory into the urban gridlock of lockdown days. Spring with its forsythia basket only heightens the sense of loss. Yes, it's true. Once we were shepherds, sipping a latte on our way to the bank. And the last poem is called The Eternity Show. Mind that the children who carry the sacred shaping dish take care not to scorch their paper wings. Led by the mauve one, a slow procession marks the graduation of one world to the next. Hell is when you have to keep going from screen to frozen screen. Heaven is when you're already there in your favorite loungewear and can watch everyone else play the fool card or have to go fish. Tonight, let's rewrite the old tragic myths so they end with chicken and waffles in front of the TV, lazy paddle boats going up the river Styx. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elaine Equi, ladies and gentlemen, give her a hand. Her new book is The Intangibles, Coffee House Press. Get her new book, Thank you. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much for that wonderful, wonderful reading. It's now my privilege to introduce John Yau. John Yau is the author of many books of poetry, fiction, and criticism. His poetry books include Radiant Silhouette, New and Selected Work, 1974 through 1988, Borrowed Love Poems, English, and Bijou in the Dark. His fiction includes Hawaiian Cowboys and My Symptoms. His books about art include Wilfredo Lamb Catalogue Raisonné of the Painted Work, 1961 through 1982, A Thing Among Things, The Art of Jasper Johns, Joan Mitchell, Trees, Catherine Murphy, Thomas Noskowski, and Philip Taft. He has published 3 collections of criticism: The Passionate Spectator's Essay on Art and Poetry, The Wild Children of William Blake, and Foreign Sounds or Sounds Foreign. That's new out from Mad Hat Press, that, by the way, Foreign Sounds or Sounds Foreign. He has received awards and fellowships from the John Simon Guggenheim Memorial Foundation, National Endowment of the Arts, the Academy of American Poets, New York Foundation of the Arts, and the Foundation for Contemporary Arts. He has been named a Chevalier in the Order of Arts and Letters by the French government and has been given the Distinguished Alumni Award from Brooklyn College, class of 1978, and has received an honorary doctorate from the College of Creative Studies in Detroit. In 2018, he was awarded the Jackson Poetry Prize, which is awarded annually by poets and writers to an American poet of exceptional talent who deserves wider recognition. Yau is professor of critical studies at Mason Gross School of the Arts, Rutgers University, and lives in New York. It is my great pleasure to introduce John Yau.
Oh, thank you. So I'm gonna show my book, Show and Tell.
Brand new.
Brand new.
Get it while it's hot.
Mr. Vincenz is responsible for this, so send him your money. I'm gonna read a few poems. The first one's called Abecedarian with Stutter, written on bathroom wall of the Apocalypse Lounge. Another alphabet soup brimming with poisoned hieroglyphs. Battle decay settles its wet fingers on your cold shoulder. Coming soon, lie detectors for palm readers. Delighted by ravings written in cubbyholes of bedlam, edited lines in moldy treatises, forged journals and plagiarized biographies, found gasping in field of overturned monuments and dead squirrels, greater disappointments await you until further notice. How enchanting your shiny shackles can be at a time like this. I will match your abstinence and raise you one tiny guffaw. Join together and plead for a snowball's chance at being granted temporary status. Kafka dreamed he was chained to a tricycle tied to a burning tree. Luckily, mortification is the least of your afflictions. My protuberances have enthralled clowns of every stripe and polka dot. Noxious Nebraska welcomes all nomads crawling across the spotted plains. Over my dead loaf, and don't you forget it, ever. Patron head bashing is no longer considered necessary for admission. Queen spending spree and Mr. Smarty Pants have started their descent. Refresh the parts of yourself that manage to remain intact. Start over, an alphabet soup full of brittle lice. Scurrilous sleeves with a twist of bristling lemon. Saul and the Abyssinians singing in a tree. P-I-S-S-I-N-G. The young policeman begins twitching. embarking and approaching strangers. Under the weather, volcano, boardwalk, and skin. Verisimilitude and a shadow wink back at you. What lowly sow licked your face, Mr. Pruneapple? Xenomorphic wildlife in easily disposable jars, all yours for only a fraction of a lifetime. Yearning for a cheeseburger and fries when a can of worms will have to do. Zephyrs have started nudging the Zeppelin toward the lightning storm. I'm going to read from the series of poems I've been writing over the last few years called Opinion Sonnets, opinion being the romanization of Chinese. So it sort of has a lot to do with how the Chinese are seen in the world. Opinion Sonnet 22, official instructions. So you have to figure out who these instructions might be given to. Ah, that's me. Except now you're blocking my page of poems. So you have to move that or I won't be able to read. I'll read, okay, thank you. Now you see how I'm doing this. Opinion Sonnet 22, official instructions. Condolences are a teaspoon of non-lethal poison injected into sugary cakes. Prayers are a one-size-fits-all set of sweet nothings used in extreme situations. Hearts are recyclable red valentines you send virtually to people who knew the victim. Grief is an incurable disease that afflicts others. Always make sure to act sympathetic. Remember to combine words such as heartfelt, sympathy, and suffering. Remember to say, I understand whenever possible in the shortest amount of space. Try to act like whatever affliction you're responding to isn't normal and commonplace. You need to point out that the Chinese don't have words for pain and anguish. You should not explain that this is why they're inscrutable and a complete mystery. The Chinese might have other words for grief, but all of them are unpronounceable. When you send a prayer, make sure none of the words are visible to nosy reporters. Condolences are an oversized envelope into which you cram all sorts of knickknacks. Prayers do not need to be memorized since you don't have to say them aloud. Tell everyone the Bible's your favorite book, but don't say which part you like best. All right, next poem from the series. After Shelley, Opinion Sonnet 23. Swarming twits besotted with ill-tempered despots sharpening two-edged swords to shield themselves from umbrella sanguine laws, as if time's worst statues could be unsealed, releasing old, mad, blind, and despised kin, dragged some smeary dregs of grinning faces, who string up their enemies in fields of corn, who believe they're holding an endless run of aces, who puff, leech-like, at their bloated country and fling till others stoop, bound in blood without prayer or wing, wait to be stabbed or shot again in parking lot. Timely as discovering a mobile blood clot, the president suggests we kneel and pray, hoping to sever our voices from our clay. And this is 24. Opinion Sonnet 24. Perhaps he should learn not to point and gloat. Why does he keep saying, I belong in a boat? I don't think he's ever worn black or told a joke. Do you think he knows what it means to be funny? Did I ever mention that he often resembles a bunny? He slipped into a beast from burgers and Coke. Do you think he keeps small stuff like their G-string? You would think all he ever does is lift his back leg. He sees conspiracy sprouting from every egg. Does he really believe they're all named Sing, that they like to eat food that keeps its features, that they got the extra hots for foul-smelling creatures? His second ex said he's got a heart of chrome. Thank goodness I don't have to stick him in a poem. And I'll just read a couple more. This is 26, Opinion Sonnet 26. I read about this game that kids in England were playing. They were trying to give COVID to old people, so they used them in games of tag. And this is going on in a town in England. So I wanted to be the kids for a moment, since I'm usually the guy that'll be tagging. Opinion Sonnet 26. We want to be rambunctious and harass anyone who is slow. One way is to play tag with old people and shout at them. They're easy to pick out and they aren't going anywhere. You just need one, and the really round ones make good posts. They're fat and slow because they eat fatteners and don't exercise. Imagine one of them trying to run. It might almost make you start crying when standing outside and laughing with friends is much more fun. Only old people and those with weak immune systems die from it. What's wrong with a little horseplay? We're just having some fun. It's always in the back of my mind that the world is freaking out. It's not like they have anything better to do in the summer sun. You can't start sobbing because gray, wrinkled people quote from it. It makes a great plot for a revenge film that all the young dream of. It's another good reason to gather outside, drink, and sneer. I'll read one more poem from this book. This is all from a book that I'm writing that'll be published next year, I hope, by Omnidon. And sorry, I'm looking for a poem. I will find it in a minute and I'll be back. Here's my poem. So this is the last one. This is a woman that just won she belongs to QAnon and she won a primary in Colorado. I think you all decided if not to move to Colorado, or it certainly makes me not want to move there. Sorry, I like Colorado, but not now. Anyway, this poem is sort of for certain Congress people or people in Congress. The Congressman's Explanation. This will be my last poem, the happiest of the group that I've read. The Congressman's Explanation. If you live in your car, I don't have to worry about you not being able to pay rent. If you eat scraps from a dumpster, I don't have to worry about you stealing food you don't deserve to put in your miserable mouth and fumble with your rotting teeth. If you find temporary employment in a warehouse so big that no one remembers your name, I don't have to worry about you thinking your life is shit. Others with name tags will help you reach that conclusion. And if they have any brains sitting inside their sitting fat inside their misshapen skulls, they will inform you that you should have been left out in the rain because you didn't save for a rainy day. It's the American way. Everyone gets what they merit. You got here on your own, didn't you? Is it my fault that you failed miserably at being human? That you became another blossoming eyesore on the scrubbed face of this great nation? There's a good reason you were drubbed, and you know deep in your worm-riddled heart that you got what you earned. If you live in your car, I don't have to worry about where you will sleep at night. If you live in your car, I won't have to concern myself with where you'll be found once you're dead. Another petty thought that takes up too much of my precious day when I have the untrammeled happiness of my constituents to think about. If you live in your car, I don't have to worry about the next election because you'll be gone. one way or another. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. Your ladies and gentlemen, give me a hand.
Thanks.
Fabulous, fabulous reading. If you, what an anaphora if you live in your car. If
Much
you live in
appreciated.
your car as an anaphora, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't forget, John's new book is just out, Foreign Sounds or Sounds Foreign, from Mad Hat.
Yep. It's here.
Foreign sounds or sounds, foreign sounds or sounds foreign. Order from Mad Hat Press. And look at the chat line for a direct link to order. Look at the chat line now. And remember, you love poets, buy their books, buy their books, buy their books. Thank you very much, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine Equi. Thank you, Jerome Sala. And thank you, John Yau. Everybody, please give him a hand.
Thank you.
Thank you for a brilliant feature section. That's wonderful. All right, before I move on to the open mic section of our program, I'd like to tell you about upcoming Lit Balm shows. Next week, the Russians are coming. We're going to have Irina Mashinsky, Philippe Nikolaev, Alexander Skidan, and Matvey Yankelevich reading Russian poetry in translation, mind you. So come and join the Russians who will be here next week. That will be July 11th, 5 o'clock, same bat time, same bat channel. And then on July 18th, we have Fiction Night with Maurice Carlos Ruffin, Daniel A. Olivas, and Michael C. Keith. And you do not wish to miss that either. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody, Black Lives Matter and wear your masks.
Thank you.
Wear your masks and Black Lives Matter. Let's remember that today. I want to thank Amanda Roberts, our technical coordinator, for her support in keeping our Zoom reading safe from intruders and also all the other technical support that she gives our reading. All right, for the open mic, I am very pleased to bring my friend up and a wonderful poet, Dean Costos. Will you read us a poem? Can we unmute Dean Costos, please?
I hit S to unmute. Dean, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. It's an honor, huge honor to read with Elaine and John, with whom I've studied, and with Jerome, who blurbed my forthcoming collection, also coming from Mad Hat. An art history professor once claimed that each painter has a unique way of depicting sky. I have a series called Skies, and we'll read the last one focusing on Francis Bacon, who did not paint sky.
Yeah, good to say.
Francis Bacon, the absence of sky falls into a screaming mouth. Like savage wings, a halved carcass looms behind a man. Faces collapse and eat themselves. The Stygian, taupe, gray of Manet. Swooping curves carve a face. Pulp, murmur. An orange room darkened with caskets closes in. Shade, smear. Watching from an oblique angle, a mason studies the blueprint of a house. Without windows, without sky. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Is the Sky series going to be in your new Mad Hat book?
Yes.
And the name of it is?
Broken Color.
Broken Color. We'll be looking for it. Thank you very much.
Jerome wrote a beautiful blurb for it. Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll be looking for it. Thank you so much, Dean, for your thing. Next up on the open mic, I'd like to invite Ron Combe to read a poem. Can we unmute Ron Combe, please?
Thank you so much. I actually had a chance to read Dean's manuscript, and I blurbed this book too, I believe. It's a wonderful book of poetry.
Ron, we can't see your eyes.
Oh. Yeah, I do have to figure this out better someday.
Thank you, Ron.
Okay, this is what I've been working on recently, and this is kind of finished now. It's called The Subway Story in the Time of COVID-19. I had to travel into Manhattan to cash my unemployment check, so I sat in the front car wearing a mask, doing my best to avoid the other passengers. After leaving the bank, I walked back to Union Square Station and found a place on the platform where there weren't too many people standing around waiting. Time goes by and no train appears. There's a sudden movement as a woman, maybe late 50s, tosses her bag and her mask onto the tracks, then clumsily climbs down and joins them. "Hey, what's up?" I shout through my mask. She moans and says that this is how she's going to get home. She's tired of everything. She edges over towards the third rail, and unfortunately, because my back is so messed up, I can't physically grab her, so I unleash my best zinger. Do you believe in any kind of God? Because if you do, you gotta know how pissed off he or she's gonna be if you touch that thing. A young guy comes running over, jumps onto the tracks, and lifts the lady up, depositing her on the platform. He holds her, waiting for the police, who do show up pretty quickly. My train finally arrives, and I go home, amazed at how the universe works. Thank you so much for letting me read it. You guys are the best.
Thank you, Ron. Come back on July 25th to hear Ron Combe, who will be featuring here with Jeff Wright and Thad Rutkowski. We're looking forward to seeing you July 25th for your feature, and that's great. And speaking of Jeff Wright, I'm wondering if I can get him to read us a poem. Jeff, do you think you could read us a poem on sudden command? Can we unmute Jeff Wright?
Just hit ask to unmute. Excuse me.
Hey, thank you so much. What a great series. What a great reading today. Thank you, Larissa. This is a little sonnet. It's not an important one, though. Alibaba's Last Alibi, or Bel Air. The ducks are sitting pretty today. The sun plays peekaboo. It's April. I love you like an iron sinking into an iceberg. Hiss. We know how to pump bliss, how to praise our circumstance. You bring me tea and hyacinths. A fallen angel bakes us a cake. I must arise and go now to meet the voidoids in the past, where a routine became a route and a ghost became a guest. Flip your turn signal on, babe. Make a right to find what is left.
That's good.
Thank you very much. Come back July 25th, Ron Combe, Jeff Wright, and Thad Rutkowski. Thank you very much. And that is our show.
Larissa, do you know Pui and Tim?
Do I
Would
know?
either of you like to read? Do you want to wave if you want to read, or run from the camera hiding your eyes if you don't?
Who would like to? Who is that?
Pui and Tim?
Oh, you want to read?
Oh, wait, you want to read something?
Let's see.
Oh, great.
Okay, if I can find my one poem, short one, I can read it. So this is a poem I wrote during the pandemic, and let's see. Sorry guys, I wasn't really prepared, but here it is. Well, this poem is called Sugar High, because there's been a lot of talk about baking cookies and cake. So I kind of have sugar on my mind. So here it is, okay. Sugar high. No more sugar, at least no more than 10 grams per day or 70 grams a week, which equals to 7 tablespoons mixed in exit like a twist of orange zest. Add flours, eggs, sachets of baking soda for lift. There comes after 30 minutes in the oven a sponge cake, buttery and golden. No one says that's writing itself, but it's still something to look forward to. in our ordered stay-at-home mode. No surprise, I'm thinking of the Madeleine, a bed-bound prose craves, knowing nothing lost can be returned whole. The longing doesn't stop the madness of it. The head houses fortnight upon fortnight, memory long as a transcontinental train, sober as a judge, all the day slow dancing on the white screen, my mouth laden with cake. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Free. Thank you. Wonderful. All right. I think that is
Also,
it.
should add that Pui's book is coming out with Mad Hat Press in near future as well.
That's wonderful. Any other last words for us, Mark?
No, I think just stay safe. Know that this is going to be a long haul, folks. So we better hunker down and get used to it. Yeah, let's keep the writing going, the poetry going. Of course, we all know the publishing industry is kind of teetering a little bit at the moment. We're all doing our best, but books will be books and they will be read.
Support your local poet, buy a book if you want to. If you like what you hear here, please.
And an alternative to Amazon is bookshop.org. At least some of the proceeds go to independent bookshops who are trying to survive, as we know. So bookshop.org rather than Amazon if you can. And pretty much most of the major titles are all available on there already.
Bookshop.org. All right. Thank you, Mark. Jonathan, any last words?
That's it for me. Thanks.
That's it for us. Okay. That is it for us. Please, once again, help me thank Jerome Sala, Elaine Equi, and John Yau for a great reading. Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to our open micers tonight. And that is it. Wear your fucking masks, please. And that's it. That's it. Please come see us next week for Irina Mashinsky, Philippe Nikolaev, Alexander Skidan, and Matvey Yankovich. The Russians are landing. Please come and do come for next week. All right. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.